We now invite you to join us for part 18 of the conference titled The First Middle East Vegetarian or MEVEG Congress, held in the city of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates on December 6, 2010, with Sandhya Prakash, vegetarian, the founder of Middle East Veg Group or MEVEG, where she explains the detrimental impacts that animal people raising for food has on our environment, our water usage, and the wastefulness of food production in this industry.
Warning: sensitive content.
So basically that's all I wanted to tell you guys, that it's not difficult, but it's also not easy to feed our children in a healthy way. But I think that if all of us think or decide that this is what we want to do, then somewhere along the line, I think we will succeed. I think if you take care of your body will take care of you. And I think we as parents, if we take care of our children and we come up with a new generation of kids who are healthy, physically, mentally, then I'm sure that somewhere along the line in the world we'll have a better future. Thank you.
Any questions, guys? Kids, any questions? You should ask her how you can convince your parents to do all this, give you some more interesting fruits and stuff, not the usual bangan or eggplant or, whatever you don't like, karela, bitter gourd, whatever, right? Thank you so much. A little token of appreciation. Oh, no. Thank you so much for sharing this. You really have inspired us that we need to bring these habits in our children. Thank you. All right. Anybody, I just wanted to ask you, any key points that you have picked up from all the morning sessions or afternoon session? Anybody, something struck their mind or some thought that is processing? Anybody would like to share something? How about the kids? Children, have you picked up something? Don't think like I'm a teacher and I'm asking a question and you're thinking, oh my God, now I have to answer, come up with a smart answer, but something. Is there anything? All right, guys, now we will be proceeding towards the workshop where Lo is preparing the most amazing smoothies, and one batch of kids have already been to the workshop and they've had fun. You remember the lovely pictures he put up of the smoothies with the nuts and everything? So we will be proceeding for that workshop, but before that, I would like to thank all of you for being such a wonderful audience. And if you thought that today was interesting, tomorrow would be even more amazingly informative and lots of things which the speakers are going to share. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow. While Yao prepares for the workshop, for all of us to be there, I'll just give the mic to Sandhya. She has a little bit information to share with all of you.
I'm going to share with you is a short impact of food on the environment front. Now, this is a talk that has been going on in Cairo. I've been giving this perspective in different parts of the world. And I'd like to bring that to Dubai and just talk about what is the impact that we are having from the livestock point of view on the environment, and why it is so very important for us to look at the ecological footprint that is currently there, that we are creating by just the choice of our food habits. See, what happens is, when we have to feed the animals so that they can give us milk or they can give us meat, there is a supply chain. Supply chain means what happens now, step 1, step 2, step 3, okay? So what happens is the first step is the feed production. You need to produce a lot of food for all the animals. Then goes to the animal production. Then you process it Then you transport that particular feed from across farms, continents, and especially in a place like UAE, we import everything that comes. We don't have too much of local produce. And then comes the consumption where we actually eat, but not just eat, we overeat and we waste a whole lot. So all along the supply chain, what is happening is at the feed production, we are adding a lot of antibiotics so that our plants can grow faster. That enters the food chain. Industrial farms, we let out a lot of carbon into the air, so the greenhouse gases go on increasing. During the production process, what happens is even the animals that are there in the farm, the methane that they come out fills 18% of the greenhouse gases today are because of the animals. You cannot imagine, we rear 56 billion animals for our food today, just to feed 6 billion people. Something is wrong with the math that we are doing, okay? We need to think about this. How does that impact the air? Greenhouse gas emissions, methane. Water, we don't have too much water. We are very, very short of water, especially in this particular region. Our water footprint is phenomenal. Soil, we are using the same land to grow food for feeding the animals which we are going to eat. Rather than that, if you use that same land to grow food that we can directly eat from the plant, we'll be feeding a lot more mouths. Yeah, this is common sense. Energy. How do we get energy? All of us. From plants, plants get energy by photosynthesis. Where do they get it from? From the sun, right? So this cycle needs to be as short as possible so that we get the maximum amount of energy into us. When I said livestock feed, this is what happens. The cows, you in your mind imagine, are in green grass, eating somewhere out there. Oh no. Where would they eat? They eat what we give them. We give them food that makes them give milk faster, grow faster, and so on. And how did all this start? How did we get here? Why did we get into this cycle? That's because we started with agriculture. Then the livestock revolution started only in 1990, just about 20 to 30 years ago, from about 80. Lots of antibiotics. Look at the amount of antibiotics livestock is just eating. You know, the pharmacies, they all produce a lot of antibiotics. It's used up 50% by the livestock industry. Pesticides, 37% is used by the livestock industry. We talk about driving from point A to point B, and we should switch off lights in our house and blah, blah. Just the livestock is 18% of greenhouse gas emissions. And these are not things that I've made out. I'm not an expert, I'm not a professor, not a doctor. These are all out there on the net. These are Googleable facts from US FDA, from each one of the WWF reports if you go through. So in effect, what is happening is 1 kilogram of beef, the amount of pollution that is there, that we let out into the atmosphere for getting that 1 kilogram of beef is the same as if you're driving for 3 hours and leaving lights in your house on back home for those 3 hours. The amount of pollution that you would spread is the same as eating a kg of beef. For 200 kg of boneless beef, just see how much the cow has to consume. And that is a fact for 3 years before it gets slaughtered. So that's a lot of food that we are growing to feed the animals so that we can eat. Does not sustainable in any which way. That doesn't need me to talk. Grazing land, 26% is used of the soil. Nutrient and water use, amazing. And what happens is the variety of animals, the biodiversity, is completely getting ruined. These are the 23 global hotspots where there were millions of animals. Now the species are just getting wiped out. So in effect, what is happening is, if you eat this fruit straight, the amount of energy that you get, which is more, straight from here or after we cook it and roast it? As soon as you pluck it out of the plant, if you eat it, maximum energy, right? Common sense. I want to talk about this other aspect. You need to very carefully listen because it's important for us in the Middle East. It's called the water footprint. I had the good fortune of meeting Professor Tony Allen 2 weeks ago when he was in Dubai. And Professor Tony Allen is almost, I think, 75 years old now. You know, tottering, tall, old man. Very, very nice person. And I had read about him about 2 years ago when I read about water footprint. And he came up with this idea 22 years ago. But people started listening to him just about 2 years ago. And they started writing, what is water footprint? Potatoes, we all like them. 200 grams of potatoes uses 50 liters of fresh water. Potato chips, we all like them too. 200 grams of potato chips actually uses 185 liters of water. Why do I say that? Because it's not just the potato, it's the packaging that goes into it, the oil that goes to fry it, the transportation of these chips, whatever brand, from whichever country it is coming into. The amount of water that has been calculated is 185 liters. So before you pick up the next packet of 200 grams of chips packet, you need to understand the water footprint that you are creating for planet Earth. So Professor Arjun is the person who actually publicized Tony Allen's thought just 2-3 years ago. And issues like water shortages and pollution can be better understood if only we understand the full supply chain. This one's very interesting. Milk, coffee, 140 liters of water is what you actually are using as your water footprint. A kg of wheat, 1,350 liters of water. Is this sustainable at all? But just wait till you see this. Just to produce 1 kg of beef, 16,000 liters of water. That means 3 years of the animal's growth, the amount of water it needs, then the processing, then the transportation. It's phenomenal. It's completely unsustainable by whatever math that we know. So, in effect, livestock and water footprint are going to be the next big topics that we need to actively think about. And what most countries are doing is they are externalizing this water footprint, meaning they have all the farms of the cows and other things, say in Australia, and then the meat is supplied to other places. Yes, so the water footprint of Australia is much lesser, but then when we have it, it's much more higher. So they are just externalizing the whole water footprint. And even in this region, the Nile Basin, the food supply demand situation is nothing to laugh about. The water situation is really, really low. So one of the solutions, and the only solution that is there, is reduce that water footprint by shifting your consumption patterns. You have to reduce the meat intake faster. If you're having 7 days, bring it down. Become a flexitarian, like the people said in the morning. Become a weekday vegetarian, about which we'll talk about tomorrow. Do something. Reduce that in the benefit of planet and your health. I'll just skip this and show you one particular book. These are things that you can go out and read. Okay? These are very interesting books, very important books, more than interesting. Food Matters, A Guide to Conscious Living, Mark Bittman. Livestock's Long Shadow, the whole report is available. Please Google. Google today is my best friend. Yeah? Everything is out there. If you wish, you can go and pick up whatever information that you want. Eating Animals, Jonathan Safran Foer, An Omnivore's Dilemma. In the end, we all love our fellow beings, our family, our animals, just the way like they do for each other. So what you have in front of you is a choice. And that choice lies only in your hand, nobody else's. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. So Yalla, let's go and try some of those wonderful, wonderful smoothies and see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here and spending your precious time with all of us.